Well, good morning, beautiful people. How are you this morning? I gotta tell you. Hello, beautiful people. How are you this morning? Stand up. We're going to open up our service with My Soul is Welcome Here by Daniel. And I will walk you through it. I haven't heard it before. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. I'm in the right place at the right time. I am just where I'm supposed to be. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting a message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. Oh, my soul is welcome here. I am getting the message loud and clear. My soul is welcome here. 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 Good morning to your fellow neighbors. Shake hands, say good morning. How are you? And we're going to go ahead and dismiss the first Sunday of the month. We take this moment to celebrate all the birthday babies of the month. Are there any October birthday babies in the house? Not here like Debbie Priest, so there are a few others. And anyone who we know would love and will do our hearts here or pass on to other parts of their life transitions. So we're going to wish everybody a happy birthday. October birthday babies. Happy birthday.
Good morning.
Good morning.
And welcome to Unity Church on the Mountain. So glad to see everyone here this day. Today, glad the temperatures get a little bit cooler out there. Definitely in the air. Let's start with our opening statement. There is only one presence and one power in my life and the universe. God Christ-like candle that is burning bright, and we know that that Christ light lives in each and every one of us. And let's move on to our visioning and mission statements.
Centered in God, we inspire spiritual transformation, creating a world of love, peace, and prosperity. We are an inclusive spiritual community, inspiring, awakening, and serving in love.
And next we come to our children's blessing. And we have children here today. And we also know that we have that child that's in each and every one of us. So let us say together. We love you. We bless you. We behold the Christ in you. We accept you just the way you are. Walk in beauty. You are divine.
We're going to go ahead and stand up and sing another song. It's called God You Are. Daniel, Daniel, if you don't have any of his albums, buy them. Yeah, great. Very nice. God you are, every mountain. God you are, every ocean. God you are, every canyon, every inch of earth and sky. God you are, every morning. God you are, every midnight. God you are, every moment, every second of my life. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. God you are, every sunrise. God you are, every moon glow. God you are, every star shine, every inch of earth and sky. God you are, every springtime. God you are, every snowfall. God you are, every season, every inch of earth and sky. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. We're singing this on Saturday. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Everything I see, everything I do, everything I am is you. Everything above, everything below, everything I know is you. Have a seat.
Now we come to our prayer box blessing. If the prayer box will please come forward.
We bring our attention to the prayers here because I had cataract surgery Thursday. Everything is related to seeing clearly. Yeah. That all of these requests requests that have been written down. See clearly all of those requests that we have in our heart. And heard, blessed, and answered, depending on how we become aware of those answers. So clearing our own vision to know the truth of who we truly are, the truth of who and what every situation is in here. We are one with God. Every request in here is one with that divine God energy. And with that awareness and understanding, we say, thank you, Spirit. We accept all the healing, all the good, all that is presented to me in this moment. And we say, thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Now we have our daily word. Today's daily word is compassion. I am a conduit of divine love and compassion. As I give, so I receive. By choosing to help a fellow traveler on the road of life, I make a difference for them as well as for myself. I become a conduit of God's love. I may recall a time when another person saw my pain or dilemma and reached out. A parent, a friend, teacher, coach, or even a stranger stepped forward to help me. As I think back on those times, I realize that in some way they changed my life for the better. I too can be that conduit of divine love and compassion. Today, I open my awareness to another whose life would be made better through my kindness, my compassion. The power of a simple act of caring never ceases to amaze. I make a positive difference as I demonstrate the love of God. You love your neighbor as yourself. Mark chapter 12, verse 31. Let us just become still. And just remove anything from your lap. Just kind of center yourself in the presence of our Father. Let's take a couple slow just breaths. Clear our minds. As we say our Lord's Prayer. Our Father,
who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever. Amen.
We continue to move into that place of divine connection, divine awareness. Allowing ourselves to experience the truth of who we really are. In this moment, as we move into that place, let us see and feel and hear with God eyes, with God heart, with God ears. allow the words, I am. I am. We let go. We let go of all those things that concern us in our physical world. We let go of our current perceptions of how things are. If there are things that have been disturbing you in any way, just open and allow the I am, the I am, to be the perceptions through which you see, the lens through which you see. I am. I am one with the one. I am Holy Spirit. Spirit cannot be sick. Spirit cannot be poor. Spirit cannot be angry. Spirit cannot be alone. So I breathe into that understanding and awareness. And any of those feelings that may be my experience in the world, I let them go. And as we feel our mind slowing down, as we feel that part of us opening up, I am, we move into that silent place, that awareness, that understanding, and that experience. I am God here now in this place. I am in the silence. And just gently bring yourself back to this time, to this place, bringing that awareness of my connection, the truth of who I am. Just bring it here gently. As we move forward into the service, into the day, into the world, knowing our oneness, that we have this God connection, this God that we are. And we say, thank you, God, and so it is. Amen. So it's been an interesting week in Huntsville, Alabama, Owens Crossroads, Alabama. I look out there in my readers, I never have been able to see out there. But I've never been able to see out there in many, many years without my other glasses on. And now I can see you out there half clearly. Not so clearly. In fact, you really got blurred. But you know, isn't that really true of how we see and experience the world? And what I'm going to talk about today, I think that analogy fits really, really well into that. Because last week, you know, we talked about forgiveness, and forgiveness is the key. We cannot move forward in our spirituality, in our connection, when we're in a place of non-forgiveness, of anger, of having things out there in the world, people that we're upset at, people in here, me. So that forgiveness is the key. But I thought it was really appropriate that is there more than one way of looking at forgiveness, of experiencing what forgiveness may be. You know, and both the end of Ephesians and Thessalonians, so Paul is kind of ending up his letter, he says, in all things give thanks. In all things. All. Capital A-L-L. In all things give thanks. How can we do that? How can we do that? We look out there and there's a lot of things out there that we're saying, how can I give thanks while I'm in that situation? That is not saying you are giving thanks for the situation, but while I'm in that place, can I do that? And what does that mean? And is it possible to do that? So this is one of those talks, ideas, thoughts that I invite you to accept what works for you and just leave the rest. You know, that is how we operate in unity. You know, nobody in unity expects you to say, okay, well, I'm standing up here, this is my belief, and I'm sharing it with you. I wouldn't be sharing it with you if I didn't have this. However, you are not obligated in any way, shape, or form to accept my belief. And in fact, to be really on your spiritual path, if I could use that word, obligation, is to say, well, what fits my spiritual path? Where am I with this? How am I moving into this? So this is one of those categories that you're really going to have to think about that. So can we turn this whole process of forgiveness, I call it, on its head. And the process is called radical forgiveness. There's a whole book about it. Some of you may have done classes about it. I have done many years ago, and when I got thinking about it, I thought, okay, let's look at this radical forgiveness process and think about it. And what radical forgiveness really says is, I don't need to forgive anything. There's nothing out there to forgive. Now think about that. Think about all the things you've been through. Think about all of this and have me, somebody wrote a book, there is nothing to forgive. So let's think about that. What does that mean? So let's think about what is reality. So we're going to start very, very basic. What is reality? Now think about it. What's reality? What's reality right here? So I'm standing here solid on this platform. You're sitting there. This building is sitting solid on this ground. You know, we're sitting still. We're not going anywhere, right? Well, no, it's not. We're moving at 1,100 miles an hour. We're moving as fast as we can possibly move. Well, not as fast as we can, but we're moving at 1,000 miles an hour. And yet, our perception of reality is that we are completely still. The other part of that, so what do we know when we learn in school about centrifugal force? That, you know, as you spin faster, what happens? Everything flies off. Everything flies out. Well, that part of our reality says, not only should we not be experiencing sitting still here, we should be flying. So what's reality? What's real? The other thing that we learned is, okay, this is real, this is solid, and most of us have never looked through an electron microscope, but you know, we believe people who've told us, and you know, science says, this isn't solid at all. This isn't solid. This is a bunch of, you know, atoms and electrons, and it's, again, flying around at intense speed. And guess what? You know, if we could really see that and understand we're that way, who knows? It's not such a big deal to put my hand through this. And where's my person? Let me see if I've got my little tool. I put where I can get it. I don't know if that's where. So I use this every once in a while. So you see this? So this is concrete evidence that reality is not what we think it is. So anybody been to spoon bending before? So you can play around with this spoon and, you know, you could try bend it out, but you couldn't bend it like this. I'm just going to pass around. That's just an ordinary spoon. I'm the one that bended it. Took a lot of thinking, a lot of setup of being able to shift my mind. So I was in a whole group of people. And there was nobody in that room at that point in time that didn't bend their spoon, or in one case, and my daughter was here when we did this, so a fork about that same thickness, and one of the women was saying, this is silly, this is nothing, look, anybody can do this, and she's twisting the handle of the fork in tight little twists. She had about 5 of them in there. You know, and Beth says, no, Karyl, you know, that's not normally how we can do that with that kind. So that is concrete evidence that reality is not what I normally think of it is. How many have walked on fire? You know, to say, okay, our reality is you can't walk on those hot coals without massive burns, because even people that have gotten blisters and things like that, they're no real big deal with that. So reality, our physical reality, when we begin to remind ourselves, is not what we think it is. Now, we've got Course in Miracles people out there. What's one of the first lessons on the lessons is, what I see is not really real. Whatever, you know, I look at my hand, it's not, you know, it has the meaning that I give to it. It has the meaning that I give to it. So can we move it then from physical reality, if this is, say, yeah, it's scientific and we have this, that this is not the underlying reality of what things are. So we let go, or to say there's more to this than my 5 senses. More than my 5 senses going on. So in this process, there are some assumptions. So I'm going to read these assumptions, and you can think, yeah, that fits for me, yeah, that makes sense, or no, I'm just going to leave that one lay for a while. We have bodies that die, but we are immortal souls that transcend death. So this is that basic assumption that the physical dies, this car gets laid down, put in the junkyard, but the driver goes on. We are spiritual beings. We are spiritual beings having a human experience, not the other way around. We're not human beings trying to have a spiritual experience. We are spiritual beings having a human experience. I'm getting my human experience of exercise going on now. Energetically, vibrationally, we live in 2 worlds simultaneously. The world of spirit, what we use the word spirit, and the physical world of humanity. They're not separate from each other, they're simultaneous within them. Now here's the one that can be difficult. Life is not random. It provides for the purposeful unfoldment of our own divine plan, with opportunities to make choices and decisions in every moment. So when we say there are no accidents, no, and Depending on how big that accident is depending on how willing we're able to accept that. What I experience in the outer is a reflection of my inner awareness. So everything I see out here is a reflection of who and what I am in here. If I was a bumblebee, I would be having a very different experience out here because insects see energetically. They don't see the same way that we do. So can we begin to look at our interpretation of the things that have happened that affect us emotionally and the things that we think need forgiveness in a different way? Can we begin to say, maybe there's something more going on here than I am aware of? Oh, I apologize. So when we think about this, think about all of you sitting out there, and you're all having, each one of you is having an experience of what is happening here now. I'm having an experience of what is happening here now. Barry is having an experience. Each one of our experiences is going to be very different depending on what filters you are using. Mine and Barry's, we're up here looking out there, so we can see all of you out there and whatever we're choosing to take in. Well, I can't see you very well. It's back on. But can you begin to see that? Okay, my experience of what is happening in this moment is very different from what the person sitting next to me or behind me or what Karyl is having up there. Oh, okay, if that is something I can begin to accept on that, I can begin to maybe think about other things. So let's step just a little bit further out. You know, I've been using our election cycle. I say that's the biggest spiritual learning tool that we have that comes around, because you listen to all the people getting upset about this or that. This is my candidate, and this is, well, starting back with the whole, at least the presidential cycle, there was lots of candidates out there, and people picked, this is my candidate, this is my candidate. And, you know, you're really connected, and this is what it is, and this is why it is, and then all of a sudden that person's out of the running. Oh, shift, you have to shift. Now, who do I choose? What is? So you begin to become aware that my perceptions shift, and I can shift those perceptions. Now I can hang on to the candidate that got out of the running, 6 months ago, and I can hold on to that, but it's probably not moving me anywhere. Yes, this is the person I want to be president, or whatever the situation is. So we become aware. How do my perceptions shift? You can also think of things, you see somebody driving crazily down the highway, and you're really, really angry about that process or whatever, and then somehow you find out that person was, maybe going to a fire, was a volunteer fire department person or whatever. Oh, all of a sudden my perception shifts from somebody who's being careless and endangering people to having an important reason for being there. My perceptions shift. Oh, okay, now let's get a little bit more personal. What about when things happen to ourselves? Here I am, here's this situation out here, and here's how I'm reacting to it, because my interpretation is whatever my interpretation is on that. And there was a story on NPR this last week, and I'll try and make it really short, but I thought it was just so clear of what we can do. So 2 older gentlemen, brothers, 5 years, one is 80, one is 85. The son, Jonathan, of the younger one, the 80-year-old, found out that his aunt had died actually a couple of years before, and he hadn't ever heard his father mention it. And so he goes to his dad and said, "Did you know Aunt Betty had died?" And he said, "Well, no, because between these 2 brothers, 5 years apart, all of their adult life, they had not been in any real communication. There was a big barrier." Well, it turned out that the barrier between these 2, when the youngest one was, say, 7 and the oldest one was 12, Mom and Dad decided to get a divorce. And in the divorce process, Mom was going to take one of the kids with her. Leave one with Dad, take one with her. And the one she was going to take with her was the older one, the 12-year-old. Okay, I'm 7 years old. My mom chooses that brother. What's my 7-year-old interpretation of that choice? My mother loves my brother more than she loves me. What actually happened, Mom didn't take either one of the boys. Both of them stayed with their dad. Grew up together. Big brother was like most big brothers. Sometimes he was really supportive of little brothers. If you've been in whatever that age thing, you understand that. And other times, he'd knock the you-know-what out of him. That's just brotherly interaction. However, younger brother always kept that awareness. My mother loved him more than she loved me, and this carried through then into adult life. And once they were adults and out on their own, there was no meaningful communication. Well, Jonathan talks his dad into going to visit his brother. Now, talk about no meaningful communication. So younger brother, 80-year-old, lives in Canada, and 85-year-old lives in Florida. So there's a whole distance thing here. So they get together, and in the process of communicating and beginning to talk, and with some encouragement by Jonathan, what younger brother finds out is when Mom had thought she was going to take older brother, it was because older brother was being abused by their dad. And it was a protective process that she was going to do. It had nothing to do with how much she cared about the boys. It seemed to be for physical safety for the older boy. Wow, does that shift perception? And so in that process and understanding, they began to talk and began to make some connections. But here is their whole life. And you may be looking at it and say, what are things that I have made decisions about? Maybe when I was too young or just wasn't connected enough, that what I thought was this person was loved more. No, this person was being protected. And now, it didn't make, younger brother still had work to do around that. It wasn't like, oh, okay, now everything is roses in the garden, but now I have a total different place to come from. So I want you to think about those kinds of things that may be happening there. And it doesn't invalidate what your experience was. Your experience is your experience. You have an authentic experience. Authentic does not mean that that is the true, absolute interpretation of that experience. But so you don't beat yourself up. You don't say, oh, I was wrong. Oh, no. You say, that was my experience through my interpretation. Can I step back now and begin to, within my own self, begin to ask some questions and maybe do some exploration out here? Now, my very first experience with this, I didn't even know what radical forgiveness was, and there was nothing to forgive. And it was just an experience that when I read this, I went, oh, that's what happened. So most of you know that before I came into my spiritual path, I just had a really negative emotional stuff was going on out there, suicidal depression, all of this kind of stuff. The kind of thing that as I moved out of it, we would traditionally say, oh, Karyl's got to do a lot of forgiveness work out of there. She's really got to forgive those people, that situation. She's got to forgive herself. Well, what really happened was, when I came into my spiritual path, I found out that I was the one that was responsible for my emotions. It wasn't that person or that situation out there that was creating the emotion. I was doing that. Now I was using whatever that situation was out there to do that. But the revelation that I am the creator of my emotions was a 180-degree shift. Now, just like the younger brother, I had to do a lot of work around that. Having that awareness did not say, oh, and everything is roses, but guess what? I didn't have to do anything out here. I didn't have to forgive that person. In fact, so now here's the key. If this situation out here had not brought me to a place that I was open and willing to accept a different interpretation of how life worked, who knows where I would be. So instead of not only saying, I don't need to forgive that person out there because I know it's my responsibility in my experience to be able to say, thank you. Ooh, that can be a big thank you that I went through 8 years of trauma and drama and emotional. Thank you, because without that, I would not be where I was available to this shift in consciousness. That's where it gets really big. That's where it gets deep. That's where it gets difficult. However, if you're open to the idea that this is possible, you know, that's all we have to do. We don't have to actually do it. We open to the idea that it's possible because who are we? Who are we? Who are we really?
Spiritual being.
I'm a spiritual being. I am God. All my personality, my ego, my self-image, all it has to do is to be willing to be available for a shift, and there is the possibility then of that shift happening. So think about it. What might shift in your experience of the world if you could step back and say, whatever this is out here, what it's brought up in me is something that wants to be healed, that wants to be opened, that wants to let go. And this experience that is creating the anger and the upset and the trauma and the drama is simply here as a reflection of what is in here, and I can change that. Breathe, breathe. And this is not situational. We can use this with everything. Now, we may not always be in the place to use it with everything. That doesn't stop us from using it with some things. I mean, there's things that I have questions about. Okay, here's a person, you know, here's a child that is born with this or that or the other thing. You know, how do I deal with that? I don't know, and I can't. I can deal with other things this way. So I offer it to you not as a substitute, but as an additional tool. Because what is the other thing that takes place? If I'm having to, so if I had to forgive this person and situation out here, I place myself in the place of victim. You know, that person, that situation did this to me. Okay, and I can step back and I can do that. You know, and then I'd have to go, and here's Karyl being victim, and then I got to forgive myself for wanting to be or choosing to be or whatever victim. No, this shifts all that. Because this was here to bring something for my attention. How I reacted to that was the best I could do in that moment. So I don't have to blame myself because my experience was something that really could have been something very different. So this process gives you an additional tool, something that you can make use of that can be very, very powerful in your moving forward. You know, finding out what is hidden within me, what stories, what's happening. And I'll tell you a real short one that just happened to me on Wednesday. And so I shared a financial story last week that was easy and gentle, and I got the money before I needed it. Well, that's not what happened on Wednesday. Wednesday I went to pick up my prescriptions for this, and what I found out was these medications are going to be $500 each surgery.
Oh.
I mean, I just lost it. And for me, when I get really upset, I mean, there's a physical process. So I am running around and I'm getting things squared away and figured out and all of this kind of stuff, and actually got one of something I had missed, something that I had, so that one was quite a bit less, from $232 for the prescription to $60, you know. And my insides had a little chance to wind down. So that's what happened on Wednesday. So I'm looking at this radical forgiveness. Oh, what is this that brought up, not the fact that I couldn't have been how dare they charge that much? But this whole emotional trauma and drama in this process. So fast forward to Friday. And what happened on Wednesday morning in our prayer group is a book was shared with us, a book that I had read before and had not picked up on the process. And I'm going to do a whole talk about this sometime soon. It's called 29 Gifts in 29 Days. And I started to reread it and remembered that, you know, I had been there, and for some reason I had chosen not to go through that. So I decided that I was going to go through that. And I already, on Wednesday morning, had already given a gift. It was a deliberate, conscious gift. Okay, day 1. Day 2 took care of itself. I was able to give a gift. Now I'm on Friday morning, day 3, going, okay, now what am I going to do? What am I going to do here? Conscious. You know, because the idea is opening that flow of understanding. And I thought, what just happened to me on Wednesday? What was, so I'm also working on my talk. What came up in front of me was this whole business about money. Ooh, does that give me a clue about something that needs to be healed inside of me? What is a step I could do? What is a gift I could give? Can anybody guess what gift I might have chosen to give if money is the issue here? Money, yes, money. Okay, and it felt right. Okay, if money is the issue, money needs to be the gift. And I worked through it, and I thought, okay, let me look at all these things and what came to me. So there's a process called Kiva. Some of you may be aware of that. It's a microloan program that's been around for quite a long time, and I've looked at it, and I've thought about it, and never done anything about it. Well, it came to, let me just do that. So I did that, and you can begin with $25, that's fair. I said, you know what? This has got to be more significant than $25. I spend $25 going out to dinner, or, all of that. And so what I came up with is I'm going to give $100. Let me tell you what that feeling was, because I'm looking at this, thinking about my panic out here. The panic had nothing to do with whether I had the money or not. That wasn't where the panic was coming from. What it felt like to say, I am going to give $100. And actually, because of the way I chose to do the system, it was $115, and I did it. Oh, it shifted that whole energy. Now, have I healed what that is? Probably not, but I may have taken steps. I won't know until something else comes up in front of me that I need to deal with to see where I am on that. But do you get the point? You get the point? I don't have to be angry at the doctor and at the drugstore and all of this kind of stuff. No, here was a situation that gave me an opportunity to work on something that needed to be healed. So let's go back to our beginning. In closing, let us return to the beginning. I have to put that in closing in there. I've talked forever. In all things, give thanks. And that while you're doing that, just say, okay, what is it? What is it? Namaste.
Karyl. Always great talks. We're going to go ahead and stand up and sing the next song. This time, you will probably recognize the melody. It's a song that we play every Sunday for the daily word, the face of God. And we're going to actually sing the word. So we're going to sing this 4 times total, and then the 5th time it's actually a different verse. So kind of look just a smidge. You are the face of God. I hold you in my heart. You are a part of me. You are the face of God. You are the face of God. have a little change of plans. We have a special guest singer today. Richard McKay is going to go ahead and come up and sing one of his original songs. So we'll welcome Richard.
Well, I love. Can you hear me okay? Thank you, by the way, for inviting me to sing.
Of course. My pleasure.
I'll start with gratitude. I composed this song. Also, I'm working with Felicia Searcy. She's with you. I'm in a life mastery program, and I'm in the process of creating a dream about using my music and art and poetry in a business. So this is, she said, go ahead and sing. I talked to her yesterday. Also, this wasn't planned. The name of the song is Seeing with the Eyes of Love. I did not know she was going to talk about, I didn't know. I had no idea. So this thing about random, I forget whether life is random or not random. Anyway, this is the song I'm going to sing, and it's about seeing. So the kernel of the song, and you can sing along if you want to, is the chorus is when I get to it. Oh yes, I can see it with the eyes of love. Oh yes, I am seeing with the eyes of love. So that's the chorus. And it's from a book by Don Ruiz that we studied over at CSL. Sometimes my world seems in turmoil, and I don't know what to do. That's when I listen to my heart, listening to this truth. Oh yes, I can see it with the eyes of love. Yes, I am seeing with the eyes of love. Am I practicing self-rejection, reflecting that I'm not enough? And I never seem to measure up and see with my eyes of love. Yes, I can see with the eyes of love. Yes, I am seeing with the eyes of love. Do you see with anger or resentment? Is it something here to prove? Living can be caught in sadness, and your life it fails to move. Oh yes, I can see with the eyes of love. Oh yes, I am seeing with the eyes of love. Oh, seeing all life's diversity. Oh, love beyond my measure, and seeing it all with the eyes of love. Oh, this earth's evolving treasure. Oh, yes, I can see with the eyes of love. Yes, I am seeing with the eyes of love. This verse is real easy. You just sing la 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 la. La la Thank you.